Welcome back, beautiful people of the North Coast, and Sharon.
Morning, Zoe. How
I love
are
our
you?
conversations. Thank you for coming back. Absolutely looking forward to it all week. What have you
Fantastic.
got for us today, Sharon?
Well, today we're going to be chatting about celebrating self, but it's going to be kind of a follow-on from last week. And we were talking about values last week. And so when you ask people to celebrate themselves, they go like, I've got these things to do, I've got responsibilities, and I've got children, and I've got a job, etc. And so it's very difficult for people to sometimes really look down and look at themselves and go, wow, what can I actually celebrate today? And it's the simplest things that we can celebrate, just the fact that we are here and that we are alive. But for me, it's a little bit more than that. And this is the type of work that I do, is I help people to discover the undiscovered things that they can celebrate. And so when we look at people when they reach a midlife crisis, and I always have a good chuckle about that because I've passed that midlife crisis, and we find people, they either get divorced or they have a nervous breakdown or they seriously have a midlife crisis, because I think that they've gotten to that point in their life where they've started to realize, oh my word, who am I really? And I think that society and the way that we've been brought up and schooling and a lot of external factors have sort of shaped and molded us as children. And with good intention, not bad intention, good intentions, to shape and mold us to become these ideal adults. But when we get to this adulthood, the world is not really the same as what we had perceived it to be or what we've been told it to be. And so we get to a point where we start to question, who am I? And so people change jobs, they get divorced, they move from a normal relationship to a same-sex relationship or anything like strange and crazy, people think, but for them it's not strange and crazy. And so it's an interesting thing when we say celebrate. So what have I got to celebrate? Because who I've learned to become over the years is not really who I am.
Yes.
And so my question rather to the viewers and to everybody is who are you really? Who am I really? And even for myself, I discovered this also later in life. It's not something that I discovered when I was 6 years old.
Of course.
I think when I was 6 years old, I knew who I was, and
yeah.
I went to school.
Confidence of a 6-year-old. We can carry that confidence forever, my good Lord.
Absolutely. But then as you get to high school and you start to get to your first job, you start to kind of become somebody else, because you've got to compete, you've got to survive in this world, and you want to be successful. And so there's so much pressure on people to not be who they really are. And when we get into our later ages in life, and it's average, I think the millennials are definitely ahead of us here, because they're doing this at a younger age.
Yes.
But normally on average, we're looking at between 35 and 45. People start to question, am I in the right career? Am I with the right partner? Am I doing what's right for me? And then they start to have all these conflictual kind of questions and conversations in themselves, and it's difficult for them to celebrate who they are. And so my encouragement is for people to really start asking themselves, like, really, who am I? What is it that we need to take off that isn't us? And unlearn what we've been taught and what we've learned of who to become, which isn't really who we are.
Yeah, because it's gotten me thinking. It's the whole idea of celebrating yourself, but if you don't know who you are, I almost kind of think it comes from the fact that we get launched into the real world, and as hard as they try in school, as you said, we're not generally prepared. So we very quickly start focusing on other things.
Yes.
And for me, it's work, kids, life, and we're so busy doing life we forget about ourselves.
Absolutely.
And then, I mean, I'm 29, nearly 30 now, kind of at that point now where I'm married, I've got kids, I love my work, but you know, as you go, you realize, have I just been living to work, or is there actually a me in there somewhere?
Absolutely. And that me has to be there. That me has to be there. And so that's even with women and parents, and particularly women, because women are a lot more emotionally in tune. When their kids leave the nest, then there's another crisis. What happens then? And then they start to refine themselves, and sometimes that's a fantastic discovery and journey. And that's why I love the movie Mamma Mia, because it's just so appropriate, you know. But we can start to do that before the kids leave the nest, you know. And so I think it's an important thing to ask ourselves on a daily basis, like, who am I? am I actually in alignment with my value system? Am I in alignment with my true self? And once we learn to be in alignment with our value system and what is important to us, and part of that value system is me, and it's not a selfish element, it's an important element, because we have to nourish ourselves so we can be there fully for everybody else.
For the family,
and
for the
so we
kids.
have to nourish ourselves, and we have to put ourselves as priority, and then everybody else. Because as a mother, if you don't prioritize yourself, you can't be there for your children and for your
you have
husband.
to be at your best. So
You
that
have
your
to be at
kids
your
can grow to be their best.
Absolutely. And so the key component there is for you to prioritize yourself, and so that you can be the best. And so we're looking at how our value system, and asking ourselves, like, who am I on a constant basis, allows us to discover ourselves on a day-to-day basis, and then we can celebrate who we are. And we don't need to dress fancy, we don't need to drive a fancy car, we don't need to earn the big bucks. We can just be who we really are, because then we're genuine, we're authentic, but we're real, we're human. And so our level of connectedness with people and our level of engagement with people is so much from a much deeper, profound place. And therefore our interactions with ourselves, our interactions with other people is so much more meaningful and so much more purposeful.
Yes.
It just adds so much more value.
Yes.
You know?
I mean, again, you're getting me thinking here, Sharon. This is phenomenal. It's got me thinking that I was very lucky, because my parents always encouraged myself and my brother to be what we wanted to be.
Fantastic.
And in a way, it was odd that our main education getting on my trick took a back seat. He wanted to be a horse racing jockey, I wanted to be a musician, and they allowed us to do that.
Fantastic.
And also watching my parents, the way they lived life. I mean, by the time they got us out of the house, they were like, right, less bills to pay, kids are out of the house, let's do it. So they started saving up and going on different international holidays every year.
Awesome.
My dad, being a retired from the British military, he became a range officer, and he was on the range all the time. My mom started doing art because it runs in the family. She was always like, I wonder if I've got it. I wonder if I can do it. She went for art lessons, and it's just her passion. And just watching them get on with life so smoothly, even after we left, it was just like they were like, instead of going, oh, empty nest, they were like, let's live life. This is my opportunity to do all the things I couldn't do when they were kids, as much as they love us, but... And now we got to give them grandkids, and the great thing about grandkids is you can give them back. You can give them back. Send them away.
And you see how fantastic that is. And so can you see how the way that your parents nourished you and allowed you the freedom to be who you are from a young age, and they didn't stand in your way, how beneficial that was for you, and how that is playing out in the way that you bring your
doing what I love.
But you see, fantastic.
Which
and,
is
and you're
unheard of
happy.
almost.
This is the thing. And if I look at, there was a video on LinkedIn, actually yesterday I watched, from Simon Sinek, and I'm such a fan of his, and he says that when you ask people, like, do you love your work? So few people say that, and you're saying, I love my work. I love my work as well.
It's not just because I know all of my bosses are watching this. I genuinely do love my work, and I love them, and I love the people I get to work with as well.
I believe you. But you see, this is key. And when you ask people, it's the same as Pratisha said this morning, is you ask people, how are you? And they say, fine. Fine is a seriously concerning word, because fine has got many definitions.
Fine is great.
It's not great. It's not fantastic. It's not phenomenal. It's not
Yes.
awesome. And so you ask people, like, do you love what you do? And people ask me, do you love what you do? I absolutely love it. I couldn't do anything else.
Super lucky.
We
found ourselves, obviously.
Yeah, we love what
get
we
to
do. But how many people are out there that really love what they do and love who they are? And so it's something that we need to ask ourselves on a regular basis, so we can get our lives on track, so we can actually have some more joy and celebrate. Because I do believe that that's exactly why we've been born, is to enjoy, celebrate,
live life to the fullest.
live life to the fullest, and not have all this weight on us, unnecessary weight.
Yeah, carry the weight, but remember to have some fun. And what a great lesson that is for everybody. But before we wind up, Sharon, how can people contact you? Let us not forget. So that people can come to you and learn from you.
Absolutely. So they can contact me on my mobile. Definitely WhatsApp. Don't phone me. I don't like answering phones. So they can WhatsApp me on 074 899 2293, or they can email me at sharon@chandramala.com. And then also they can have a look at my website, which is www.chandramala.com. for some
Fantastic.
coaching, mentoring, and
Yes.
learning how to just
And these
discover
meaningful
themselves.
conversations. I mean, just this
Absolutely.
conversation's got me thinking a little bit harder about myself, and I absolutely love that. And I love how
Fantastic.
both you and Pratisha have kind of working in sync almost unintentionally. I love it. So I love getting you two on the couch with me. It's phenomenal.
Fantastic.
But you guys heard it. It's same what we said with Pratisha. Be kind to yourselves. Also celebrate yourselves. The two go hand in hand. All right, guys. Now, I do believe we are going into an ad break. And then after that, we will have a pre-recorded interview with Dale from Centello.